Welcome back to the Brawlers broadcast. It's been a crazy week. It's been a very crazy week. We have news on Conor McGregor. Dominic Reyes finally comes back after his four-fight losing streak against all top opponents, by the way, but with a great finish. And of course, we have some sort of a conundrum in the middleweight division as well after that Jared Cannonier loss.
Mm-hmm.
So where should we start from, Ritik? How was the card with you in general? And obviously we have to feature Pooja Tomar because she won this week. First Indian UFC fighter
Yeah,
who won at UFC. So that's a great feat in itself.
amazing, amazing. So big for us. So big for a country like India. Like we don't have a lot of fighters there in the UFC. I mean, this
Yeah.
is only the second time we've had or the third time actually. We had an Indian fighter fighting on a big card, and with Pooja Tomar securing a win. And you know what? Forget what I don't care what people say. I loved her performance. I loved watching her fight. She's so talented, man, and I expect a lot of big things from her. And she must have inspired so many young girls out there in India, like
That's
here in
true.
India. I mean, it's insane. Like this is so big for us, and I hope people realize this and people support her and support the sport itself to grow. So that's a big win for us. As for the card, bro, the card was really good. I mean,
Really good.
there were
Yeah.
just knockouts after knockouts, like insane finishes. I mean, I was very impressed by the fights. But we have to talk about the main event and the co-main event, bro. Like these are the featured fights. What an amazing comeback for Dominic Reyes, man. Like
Finally.
what a
And
knockout as well. What a knockout as well against a very high
what a
level
great
kickboxer. Like Dustin
yeah.
Jacoby is a
And
very high level
let's be
kickboxer.
real, Dominic Reyes' boxing looked
Yeah,
very crisp for a guy who'd been losing. I mean, you can lose confidence anywhere on the ground with your
absolutely.
hands, but he looked good. He looked crisp, and that knockout was actually pretty decent. He flatlined Dustin Jacoby
Yeah,
face first.
yeah, absolutely.
So great knockout by him. So I mean, moving on from that, building on that, he's ranked 15th in the division right now.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know we were just talking how he slipped to 15th, but I think there's been plenty of movement in the heavyweight division. So who do you think he should fight from here?
Okay, so I mean, there are a few options for Dominic Reyes. I think since he has just gotten back into the win column, I mean,
Mhm.
uh, maybe someone like Alonzo Manifield, or like you've got. I think to be fair, like since he's sort of a big name. I mean, not really a big name in the sense that he's a big name in the entire UFC, but in the division at least he's a big name.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think you could give him a top 10 matchup, bro. Like you could make him fight like maybe Anthony Smith,
Yeah.
or maybe if Khalil Roundtree Jr. Comes back like from his suspension. I'm not really sure what his suspension is like, but if he
Mhm.
comes back, he could fight Khalil Roundtree as well.
Yeah. I was
So
about to say.
or if there's another interesting fight, I don't know if you remember, but he once fought Volkan Ozdemir, and it was a very close fight, by the way, and a very good fight. Like it was complete back and forth, high level striking fight. So I think they could do a rematch as well.
That's true.
There's a lot of
But I
good
think
options here.
The Anthony Smith match makes a lot of sense in my opinion, and
Hmm.
I'll tell you why. He was obviously in talks to fight for the belt. I think he also had some sort of a verbal spat with
Hmm.
Alex Pereira, and he's also out there to try to prove himself.
Yeah, that is true.
So the jury is still out there as to how much talk Anthony Smith is at this point.
Absolutely.
And obviously, for a guy in Dominic Reyes who's pushed John Jones to probably his limit in one of the fights, I think that fight makes the most sense. But moving on from making sense, what didn't make sense was that Jason Herzog stoppage. What was he thinking? What was he trying to do?
So,
So I'll be very honest. I scored the fight 3 rounds to nil to Jared Cannonier before obviously the stoppage happened. Very stupid stoppage. But what did you make of it?
well, I thought. I mean, I didn't have 3-0 for Jared Cannonier. I mean,
Okay.
I thought it was 2-1, and I thought he was winning the round as well, of the round in which the fight got stopped. Uh, so here's the thing, man. Like I've seen this stoppage a few times now, and I can't wrap my head around this. Like, it's like I understand now. In my initial reaction was like it was a horrible stoppage because he was still covering up really well, Jared Cannonier, and
Yeah.
it seemed like an early stoppage. It seemed like he could have Jason could have let the fight go as well, because and he's a really good guy. He's a really good ref, by the way. Like Jason Herzog is like one of the he's like the top tier of refs. So
Yeah.
while I was disappointed, I do see things from his perspective, from Jason Herzog's perspective. And you know what? Jared Cannonier at one point he was showing his back and running away from Imavov. And that's a very
Hmm.
bad look, in my opinion. Like there were points in between in that sequence where he wasn't even covering up. He was just showing his back and he was just trying to run away. So that's a very bad look as well. From the ref's standpoint, I do understand, but there's nothing else I see other than that. But and
Yeah.
that is also, and after that also he was covering up really well. I don't get it. I mean, I still think he could have let it go a bit more. I mean, we've seen so many times. We just take the example of Bobby Green versus Jalen Turner, bro. Like
Yeah.
they almost let Jalen Turner kill Bobby Green. So it's just very inconsistent for me. But I'm glad Imavov won, because it's like, he's still good for his age. Cannonier is still so good. He's like 40 years old and he's still
Exactly.
so fighting at such a high level.
Yeah.
He won a couple of rounds as well, I think, against Imavov. But then again, Imavov is like, he's a young fighter. He's an exciting fighter as well. His style is really good. Like, it's very fun to watch. So yeah.
So here's my take.
Hmm.
These guys know what they've signed up for, right? And
Yeah.
and I think they should be allowed to let go of on their shield.
Yeah.
And I think Cannonier wouldn't have protested if Herzog would have done that. I
Yeah.
get the referee's point of view, but in my opinion, it was a very shoddy stoppage. I
Hmm.
think, you know, he
Yeah.
could have given more time, and Cannonier, in my opinion, was doing pretty well because Imavov was clearly struggling in figuring out his speed.
Hmm.
And by the time he did, I think the controversial decision happened. So it could have made for a good fourth and fifth round, in my opinion. And we as fans were kind of robbed for it, but
It could have.
it is what it
It could have.
is.
I do think Cannonier was getting sort of gassed towards the end. But yeah, that's just me though.
Okay. So moving from this, obviously now Imaev has moved to number four.
Hmm.
Now, who he has above him now are Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whittaker.
Hmm.
Whittaker is set to fight Hamzat Chimaev next month, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Uh, Izzy has no fights to begin with. Sean will most probably fight Dricus next.
We don't know
A
about that.
big,
Like, there's a lot of news coming in about Izzy fighting Dricus. So, but yeah, it could be. It's probably one of the two guys.
yeah, one of the two guys.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. Imaev is a good wrestler, right?
I mean, he's decent. I mean, he's from Dagestan, but his base is like sort of. His base is striking, but like he's from Dagestan, so I'm assuming he's got decent wrestling. Yeah.
So here, him versus Marvin Vittori. Here's my 2 cents on it. What do you think?
I like it. I like it. So the thing with Imavov is that, I mean, his grappling is decent, like in the sense that he's got very good submissions. Like he's got a very good guard. He's very like aggressive from his back, but sometimes he's easy to take down and easy to control as well. And Marvin Vittori
Something
is
Fury
like,
wouldn't do.
yeah. And I think it's a good matchup, man. I think it's a really good matchup. I would love to see that fight.
I think so too. And obviously, let's get into the thick of things now. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. 1 week ago, we had this scenario that McGregor pulled out. The UFC took down all the promotional banners, and now all of a sudden, the card is back, alive and kicking. And obviously, you also had Michael Chandler putting up these emotional posts where he said he'll still be in Tennessee, working out, putting his all in.
Hmm.
Obviously, he wants the fight. Who doesn't want that red panty right by Conor,
Yeah,
right?
man.
But Connor has also, in the light of things, released some training footage in which he's more or less kickboxing, a few sprawls here and there. But what do you make of it now? Like,
It's
I
just.
mean, we've discussed the fight plenty, but
Mhm.
what's happening around this entire thing right now?
Bro, like I would hate to be in Michael Chandler's position right now. I mean, obviously he's gonna make a lot of money if the fight does happen, but the
Yeah,
stress that he has to deal with, it's insane, bro. I mean, the Connor is such a top tier troll, like, and he's obviously just trolling Michael Chandler. Like, let's be real here. And he's playing those mind games with him. all these mind games. It's like, but I'm glad the fight is still happening. I mean, who does not want to see Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor throw it down?
Yeah.
It's an amazing fight. Obviously it's not going to be a high level fight, maybe, not maybe a high level fight, but obviously it's going to be very entertaining. But yeah, I'm just glad it's finally happening, and I can't wait to see Conor back, man. Can't wait to see him back.
I don't know, man. As a Conor fan, if I'm really waiting for him to come back or not, two back-to-back losses, he's not in it. Obviously, this is more of an entertainment fight
Yeah.
more than anything else. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
skills and game plan is of very little consequence here.
Yeah.
Both guys just want to put out a show, right? And it is could arguably be one of the best-selling pay-per-views
Yeah.
because it has Conor's face on it.
Yeah.
But I'm scared for Conor because because Chandler looks motivated. I mean, he's obviously going to get the bag regardless, but you get my point,
I get
right?
it. I get it. The only problem is that, bro, I do not have any faith in Chandler. Like, he can post whatever he wants of clips of him training like a madman. He does always train hard. I mean, he's like
Yeah,
what? He's a freak of nature, bro. Like, let's look at him. He looks like a mini Hulk. I mean,
yeah,
he's like jacked as anything. But I just don't trust him when it comes to game plan and just the way he
yeah. He
approaches the
goes out
fights.
of the window when he fights.
Yeah, I mean that's the only reason why I don't see him winning, man. Like, I understand why people are concerned for Conor because he's coming back from a horrible injury, and the way he
Yeah,
has been living his life, it's like not very encouraging as a fan.
yeah,
And also, he's like 35 now. I mean, he's still younger
yeah.
than Chandler, I believe. Yeah, I think he's much younger than
Chandler's
Chandler.
36, I think.
I think he's 37, I guess. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
like, yeah, I get it. I mean, Connor is like, as a fan, if you're a fan of Connor, like, you're worried for sure. But if you're a fan of Chandler, I mean, there's not enough, encouragement there as well. So,
That's true. But if you're a fan who just enjoys those edge of the seat moments, then it is that fight, and that's us. That's us.
or if you're a fan of
Uh,
Habib, or if you're a fan of Dustin Poirier.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And obviously, moving on to the crown jewel for Indian MMA right now,
Mm-hmm.
Pooja Tomar. A
Yeah.
lot of people would obviously say controversial decision, but
Yeah.
let's give credit where it's due. She looked good. She
Yeah.
looked very good in
Yeah.
that fight. You've obviously seen, most of our viewers would have seen the
Mm-hmm.
clip surface.
Yeah.
Uh, at the end of the fight where she literally kicks Reyes halfway across the octagon.
Mm-hmm.
That looks badass in my opinion,
Yeah,
by the way.
bro. Like, seriously. I mean, I was so impressed by her kicks. The only thing that she needs to work on, I believe, is her boxing. Like, to be fair, she got outboxed pretty badly, and
Hmm.
we have to be honest and fair here. So, I believe that while the decision should have gone to Dos Santos, I still think Pooja Tomar made the rounds very, very close, and she arguably won that. I think she
Yeah,
won the last round. She definitely won the last round. I mean, it does not count as a knockdown. I
yeah.
know, I
I
know,
think
I know. It does not count as a knockdown because it wasn't concussive, but I still think she won the last round, and that round was probably the clearest of all three. And that's the thing, man. Like, as Indian, as Indian fans, like, we have to back her, right? This is her fifth straight win, I suppose. She's now won five in a row, and this fight was just. She's got such good kicks, man. She's got such amazing kicks. She's got an amazing takedown defense. I mean, that was very, very good. Like, considering the sort of grappler that she was facing a black belt, I suppose. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm very happy for her, and
yeah.
maybe we can get more Indians to come to the UFC and fight. We've got a few fighters fighting in the road to the UFC, so that's gonna be sick.
100%, man. 100% looking forward to that,
Mm-hmm.
and let's hope that Indian MMA goes up and up from here, and hopefully we get to see a title fight with an Indian MMA fighter in it very soon in the UFC, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of wraps up our quick news run through for today. Anything else that you have to discuss? Anything else that you want to put out there for the audience?
No, just if there are any Indian fans watching, just please back Pooja Tomar up, and please just show her as much support as you can. And it's a big win for us. It's a big win for us, for the entire Indian MMA community. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
And speaking of wins, obviously we've hit 50 subscribers.
Yeah.
That's a very small number, but we're getting
That's
there.
a
So
big
those
win
of
for
you who are
us.
watching this and you're not subscribed,
Yeah.
please subscribe to our channel. We really need it for motivation and to put out more weekly content. And we'll even try to do it 3 times a day, maybe. Sorry,
Yeah.
3 times a week if we can.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, that wraps it up. Yeah, it's been great catching up, and we'll be here next week reviewing the cards. Obviously, we are going to upload a few videos when it comes to Conor versus Chandler, predictions, what we think, just general news, and obviously leading up to the fight, we're also going to put out our reactions.